Everyone, welcome back to the channel. It feels good to be back. I have not filmed a review in over a month. And if you follow along on social media, you know why. We bought a new house and moved. So I had to pack up the entire studio, all my stuff. While planning Suppress Fest and working at the fire department, we had to move. It sucked. We are finally in the new house. The studio, I would say, is like 80% done. As you can probably hear, pretty bad echo right now. That's because we put new floors down before we moved in. It's hardwood. I need to get like a sound deadening carpet in here, rug, and then I'm gonna get some sound mats for the walls. I still need my whiteboard for my video notes, so it's pretty much getting there. It's gonna be pretty awesome. My little armory closet over here is awesome. Something I always wanted to finally store my ammo and the firearms in the same room, which is really cool. So now that we got the moving out of the way, Suppress Fest is just around the corner. I think today it's like 20 days away, I believe, something like that. So pretty cool. We're in the home stretch. JK Armament will be there, and let's go ahead and just get right into that. Today we're going to review the JK Armament 105 CCX. 105 is an indication of the diameter of the suppressor. 1.05, and then this is a concealed carry 9mm can. Now at first glance it looks like a 22. I'll do some B-roll, I haven't done it yet, with some 22 cans to show you just how small to scale this sucker is for a 9mm can. So small, in fact, when Jason over at Gun Trader Den pulled it out of the box, he thought it was a 22 can until he saw the bore aperture size. So it's tiny, it's amazingly small, and it works damn well for what it is. So I already shot it. We're kind of filming in reverse here today. So we're going to kind of jump into the specs here. I'll give you some feedback on it, and then we'll cut to the shooting range sequences so you guys can hear what it sounds like. And of course, if you're going to Suppress Fest, you'll be able to hear it in person, of course, at Suppress Fest 2022, this November 12th and 13th. Let's get to the specs. Okay, it's obviously a modular suppressor, so we're going to have two different weights, two different lengths. We're not going to go individually here, that would be crazy. We're just going to go as small as you can go with one baffle, and then with a full assortment of all the baffles for your weight and lengths. So in your shortest possible configuration, this would come in at 1.9 inches. Yes, 1.9 inches, that is ridiculous. And in the full length configuration, it comes in at 4.6 inches. Now, diameter, we mentioned that earlier, 105, 1.05 inches, and the weight fluctuates from 1.2 ounces up to 2.5 ounces. So worst case scenario, 4.6 inches in length, weighing in at 2.5 ounces. Best case, coming in at 1.9 inches in length, weighing in at 1.2 ounces. Fully constructed of 7075 T6 aluminum, type 3 hard coat anodizing, and it does ship with a 1/2x28 direct thread mount here. On the website for an additional cost, you can add to your cart a 13x5x1 left-hand thread pitch for your Sig Sauer host, like your Mark 25, stuff like that. HKs. Warranty, lifetime, no questions asked. You blow it up, they fix it. Typically, you're not going to have a problem because their serialized information is here on the blast chamber, and all your baffles are forward of any area where you'd have a trajectory problem with a projectile. So if you do 86 a baffle, you'll just be required to send the entire suppressor in. They'll log it in for repair, replace the baffle stack. They'll probably just give you a whole new one, all new 5 baffles, and then send it back to you. And it can go right back to your house. It doesn't have to go to your dealer since you already own it. Pretty cool. Retail price, $399, pretty epic, very affordable for a niche can, and my Patreon members get a discount. I want to say they did something unusual. It was like 11% off, something like that. Don't quote me on that. I'll have to look it up and pop it up there on the screen. But as far as Patreon, patreon.com/NFAReview, that's a place where you guys can help support the channel, and in return I reach out to the manufacturers that I work with here on YouTube, and there's no kickback or anything. If you guys buy something, you guys already support me. The manufacturer offers you guys, my select few, discounts. You're happy, I'm happy, and they are happy. So pretty cool. I think that covers it as far as the specs. So what is it? It is a 9mm suppressor intended for concealed carry. That being said, I think it's better suited or marketed for home defense. Typically, you guys out there are not going to carry a suppressor on your carry gun, even though if it's legal where you are, you could. It's just, I think most of us out there that are going to be buying a niche can like this would be using it for nightstand duty. Why is that? Well, I can put a weapon light on here, a suppressor, as you can see, it adds nothing for length, nothing for weight, so my handling is going to be the same, and it's going to take away all the muzzle flash and concussion in the middle of the night, and it actually did a very good job on the range. So as far as manual of arms, it's a wet can. This is not intended to be shot dry. This thing is freaking small. In case you are blind, this thing would not sound magical dry, okay? This is a wet can. Now, through a lot of testing, JK Armament found out, they told me that petroleum jelly had the best return on investment as far as sound profile, use, and time charging it. By time charging it, I mean to stage the suppressor wet, you would just get some petroleum jelly on your finger, a little dollop, and just rub it on the face of the cone on each baffle, making sure not to get any into the projectile path and the bore line here. You could cause a baffle strike that way. And then screw the suppressor back together and throw it on your nightstand gun and you're good. Petroleum jelly is good because it's not going to corrode like water will. And white lithium grease also works, but it's very smoky and toxic. I'm sure petroleum jelly is probably toxic as well, but it's not as smoky as white lithium grease. And I believe, just from my experience, the petroleum would actually stage a little better. So again, you could stage this sucker and leave it in your nightstand for months, years, whatever, and should you need it, it's gonna be ready to go, it's gonna be quiet. Obviously with water, you can't do that because it'll leak out and it'll corrode the aluminum, and it'll corrode your bore and your gun and your nightstand. It's a mess. Now, that being said, as you're about to see on the range, I did not have any petroleum jelly because it was packed in boxes. Not that we have like tubs of petroleum jelly or anything. I just couldn't find any. I didn't grab any from the store on the way to the range because I forgot, because I had a lot on my mind. So we used water, which is fine. Water works just as good. It's just messy as hell. I was covered in just, you know, messy black water from the gunpowder mixing with the water and the suppressor. So again, that's why I recommend shooting with petroleum jelly. Now, for the sake of science, I will go find some and we will do a yard pop so you can hear what it sounds like, the difference between shooting it wet with water and shooting it wet with petroleum jelly. So we got that out of the way. So pretty cool can. You're gonna see on the range that it's pretty efficient for its size, even when we go down to one baffle, which was ridiculous. That reaction that you see on the camera is legitimate. I was actually shocked. I was waiting for some pain. We had one baffle on this thing, and it did a remarkable job of handling the concussion from a 9mm. Still shocked on that one. So hopefully I didn't forget anything. As I said, I don't have a note board on there, so I'm just kind of winging it here. Hopefully we structured the studio section as clean as possible. Let's go ahead and stop rambling and hit the range so you guys can hear exactly what the sounds like. All right, guys, we have a lot to unpack here, so just bear with me while we get through it. Now, I don't know if it was just my 3-week hiatus from shooting, but this thing had me running all over the place, perplexed. Let's just start with shooting it wet. So the manufacturer, they recommend shooting it with petroleum jelly. I did not have any petroleum jelly with me. I'm gonna do a yard pop when I get home. God, these mosquitoes are ridiculous. I'm like covered in off too. God, they're like bouncing off my face. So I had water out here. Now water works just as good as anything else, works probably sometimes better in some situations as far as sound profile. However, very messy. I'm covered in splatter. I haven't looked at my face yet in the mirror, but I'm sure it's bad. The guns are soaked. You have to clean the guns immediately when you get home if you care about them. And it's just messy to shoot wet with water. So you could use wire pulling gel, you can use white lithium grease, very smoky, toxic. You can use petroleum jelly. I did try some grease here that I use on my belt feds today. Didn't really do much. That was a failure if you want to check that out now. Don't use this. And so we just stuck to water all day. Now, what is this suppressor used for? Self-defense. Now, it's called the concealed carry system, but nobody's really going to be carrying a suppressed handgun concealed out in public. My target for this would be my nightstand. And there's not many small niche 9mm suppressors out there. There's tons of 22 cans, right? There's tons of little tiny niche, chapstick size 22 cans out there you can have fun with. Those are a novelty in my eyes. Still cool to collect if you're into collecting cans, which you probably are if you're watching this channel. But as far as a serious role, it's nice to have a compact suppressor, non-boostered, less malfunctions, because it's so light, quiet, doesn't block the sights on this Glock 48 or this Beretta 92. Now, you want to use the petroleum jelly to stage the suppressor for your nightstand, because obviously water is going to spill out everywhere, evaporate, and corrode your firearm, your nightstand, the suppressor. So you could pre-stage and coat each baffle in the petroleum jelly, throw it in your nightstand, forget about it for years. If the need arises to use it, it's going to be good to go, and it's going to be hearing safe. Is this suppressor for impressing people at the range? No. This suppressor is for impressing suppressor owners, meaning you're not going to take this thing out to the range and show somebody a suppressor for their first time and have them go, "Oh my God, that is insane." You're going to bring this to the range and show it to your fellow can lover, your stamp collector, and he's going to go, "Wow, that is insane." There's a difference there, and you know what I'm talking about. Shooting it wet was fine, hearing safe. I would say right around shot 9 on both platforms, the water pretty much evaporated, converted into steam, should I say, consuming all the energy of each shot while shooting wet, and then subsequent shots after 9 got louder and louder. Some scenes there, I did decide to shoot 10 rounds and then remove the suppressor to see what it sounded like, and it was, I had to put ears on obviously, but you could tell you had substantial sound increase and pressure to the face, which nobody really talks about. This takes a lot of concussion from this area here when shooting with a suppressor, no matter the size. So then, towards the end of the day, and I haven't showed you this clip yet, I'm gonna hold it during my edit on purpose. I removed all the baffles but one. So this large chamber here, God, these mosquitoes, freaking frack, leave me alone. This large chamber here, even though it's machined to look like a baffle here on this first one, it's not. Okay, that's just where this baffle threads into. That's just for aesthetics, okay? And so it has a place for the threads to go when machining. So this, as it sits right here, and I'll show you some B-roll, this is one baffle, okay? This is an expansion chamber area, of course your threaded mount, and then at the end I have one baffle and the end cap screwed in. I was expecting some ear bleeding when I shot that, okay? Because it's the size of like a fat little chapstick, all right? And much to my amazement, as you'll see right now. Here we go. Wow. I gotta review that. That doesn't seem really possible. It sounded pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not paid to say this. I'm not paid to fluff products. I don't care. They send them, I review them, you guys see it. If you wanna buy it, that's fine. If not, I don't care either way. That surprised the hell out of me how quiet that was with one baffle. It almost didn't make sense. So then I had brought, this freaking planes, I had brought a CGS Group Kraken 9 SK, okay? I mentioned earlier, there's a ton of novelty 22 small niche suppressors out there. Not so much in the 9mm world. So the only one I really had in my safe to compare this to was the CGS Group Kraken 9 SK, which is the same thing as the Mod 9 SK, just different machining on the outside. I shot them back to back. I'll show you that now. And I don't know if you could tell at home, I had to rewatch it on camera here over and over and over again to determine that the CGS Group Mod 9, or whatever, Kraken 9 SK was slightly quieter. Again, it's twice the diameter, it's a little longer, it's a much fatter can, has more volume. So, and it does block the sights on both of these guns, whereas this suppressor does not. So, and it's not modular either as far as length. That's not to say it's not a great can. It's an amazing can by an amazing company. CGS Group, great people, great technology, great suppressors. Everybody knows that now. You guys have seen them on my channel, you've seen them on other channels. They've been out to my events, you've heard their suppressors in person. So, not knocking CGS Group, it's a great suppressor. This is just next up in the technology for tiny little micro 9mm cans for the advanced suppressor collector. Okay, this is certainly not something you're going to buy your first time around. This is more for the guy or girl who has a nice little collection growing of the really super quiet cans that you can press everybody with. You can shoot it in your backyard without anybody hearing on a quiet Sunday afternoon. And you want something a little cool, a little different, a little off the beaten path. This thing is definitely going, without a doubt, to live on my nightstand gun. So I'm gonna figure out which one that's gonna be, because obviously you want a way to attach a weapon light to identify a target in the middle of the night. And having something like this on the end, pre-charged with some grease or some petroleum jelly, will take the edge off just enough so you don't shock yourself in the middle of the night, you don't have a large muzzle flash, and yeah, give you the upper hand in that situation, which you will need it because you'll be caught off guard most likely. So I'm actually really impressed with this little guy. I didn't mind that the water wore off around shot 9. That's normal when shooting wet cans. You know, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to rewind, pause, whatever you need to do, and go watch my other video, everything you need to know about silencers, where I cover everything from the history to how they operate. I'm sure somewhere in there I cover wet versus dry shooting. But really impressed with this little can. It's the first of the JK cans that I have reviewed here on the channel. They will be at Suppress Fest in November. So if you bought tickets, congratulations. You'll be able to go out there and shoot this exact suppressor in person. If not, I'm sorry, the event sold out. But of course, we're gonna have Suppress Fest 2023. I'm gonna start planning that very shortly. And so you can just snag tickets for that one, and I'm sure they'll be back out there. So hope I didn't ramble along too long. This was just a lot to unpack here with both of these platforms. Hopefully I covered everything. I tried to collect my thoughts before I hit record. It's just, I try to do this in one take. I don't try to over edit these guys for you, so you really hear what I'm hearing and feel what I'm feeling and get my, you know, my professional, I guess you could say, opinion on it. But again, don't just buy it because it sounds good here. Do your own research. read up on magazine articles, look at other YouTubers, gun tubers reviews on it. If you can, possibly, hopefully your dealer is a stocking dealer, you can hear this in person. Brings me to one more point before I let you go. When we first got this, Jason over at Gun Trader Den, my FFL SOT, said, hey, some review cans showed up. You got one of them's a 30 cal can, which we're going to be reviewing from JK, and another one's a 22 can. I was like, well, that's weird. They're supposed to send a 9mm can. Whatever. So I go there and we're looking at it. And I'm like, no, dude, this is a 9mm can. He goes, what are you talking about? It's so small. I'm like, no, look at the bore aperture. And he's like, oh my God, I didn't even realize it. So he handles hundreds of suppressors a day. Their display case looks insane at Gun Trader Den. He didn't even know this was a 9mm can. That's how just comically small it is, but it works so well for what it is and what it's intended for. We actually did it was pre-charged from the factory with petroleum jelly on each baffle, and we did a desk pop. He has a bullet trap in the back of his shop, tile, drop ceiling walls, concrete walls, and hardwood floor into a rubber bullet trap. I think we shot 3 rounds with some subsonic ammo, and we were both like, all right, ready? Like this. And we shot it and we're like, oh my God, it sounded amazing inside. Again, perfect for home defense, which is what it was intended for, I would say. So, little side information there. I love it. It's cool. Whether you do or don't, that's up for you to decide. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. And if you did and you aren't subscribed, please click that subscribe button. We can use all the help we can get here because YouTube hates us. Click that like button as well because YouTube also hates that, and we love pissing them off because they demonetize gun channels every day. See you next time.